It's Thursday, January 23rd in the year 2025, also known as the smartest year ever. My name is Gordy. Today we're talking about why Swiss cheese has holes. You know, you've probably heard it. I think I've learned this several times, but on the spot, what's the exact reason, or what's the science behind it, or and when researching this, or looking this up out of curiosity, I did learn something that was completely new to me, so I wanted to share that as well today. You ever wonder why Swiss cheese has those iconic holes? Well, they're not just for show, they're the work of bacteria, largely from the genus Propiona bacterium, including Propiona bacterium freudenreichi. It kind of sounds like I'm casting Harry Potter spells. During the cheese's aging process, these bacteria munch on lactic acid and release carbon dioxide, and the gas forms tiny bubbles inside the cheese. And as the cheese hardens, those bubbles become the holes that we know and love so much. Cheesemakers have a term for these gaps. They call them eyes. And if Swiss cheese has no holes, they call it blind. Those holes are obviously now a signature feature of traditional Swiss cheese, but the size and number of holes have become something of a science. Too many or too big and pre-sliced cheese becomes hard to handle. And that's why modern cheesemakers tweak the fermentation process to strike just the perfect balance. For decades, though, cheesemakers noticed something strange. The holes in Swiss cheese were getting smaller, and it wasn't until the early 2000s that scientists cracked the case. The culprit? Modern hygiene standards. Traditionally, during the cheese-making process, tiny particles of hay from cow feed would fall into the milk. Scientists believe that these microscopic specks acted as nucleation points, basically starting points, for the gas bubbles to form. When factories became all ultra-clean and eliminated hay dust entirely, the holes started to shrink. And so, bring back our dirty factories and hay dust. And they kind of did. So once cheesemakers figured this out, they began adding controlled amounts of hay dust back into the process, giving the cheese its signature look again. And now I keep saying Swiss cheese, and obviously there's a ton of different types of cheese. Swiss cheese just became kind of synonymous, the term Swiss cheese, as any kind of fancy cheese, just due to its export success in the United States. So it's often just called, Swiss cheese. But not all Swiss cheeses are alike. I was going to get into them all, but there's just a lot of pronunciations that I would have to learn for this. And it's just, I don't know if it's worth it, but, different shapes, different sizes, different amount of holes, different sizes of holes or eyes, as I should say. And some are blind, but still delicious. Maybe your other senses are heightened when enjoying a blind cheese. I don't know. I don't know if it works like that. But either way, hopefully next time you're staring at a slice of Swiss cheese, you can just appreciate that those holes are more than just quirks, and that they're a centuries-old signature born from the perfect mix of tradition, science, and just a little hay dust. Just that perfect amount of hay dust. Hey. Thanks to all my sources, which can be found in my YouTube description. As always, please follow, rate, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Apparently sharing is really helpful these days, beyond just podcast media, but especially in podcast media. At Smartest Year Ever on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts for the full episodes, at Smartest Year Ever on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts for your daily clips. Stay curious, stay clever on our quest to become the world's greatest conversationalists. I'll see you tomorrow in the Smartest Year Ever.